Welcome back to Ultra Uncovered. I'm Corinne Shalvoy.
And I'm Russell Ditsworth.
And in the spirit of 2025, we have brand collaborations left and right. We got Nike and Satisfy. We have Hoka and Rabbit. Actually, they're probably breaking up, but we will never break up. This is the Freetrail Fan Pod. I am Ellie Pelle, joined by Katie Asmuth and Corinne Shalvoy.
Little collab action.
Yeah, we have a
Keeping everybody on their toes.
Exactly. Like nobody knew they were going to get Russell Ditsworth on this Freetrail fam.
Oh, is he the first man to be on our pod?
I think so.
Graham came on once.
Right, Graham photobombed. I think Dash probably photobombed a couple times.
We had Ryan Thrower on one time with us, didn't we?
That's true. We had Flamethrower on, yeah.
Well, we were talking about that we were all there's so much going on in the sport, and the biggest thing happening right now is sponsorship announcements and breakups and things that people leaving brands and joining other brands. And it's super interesting, and we're all super geeks about the sport. So we just thought we'd talk about it on this podcast. Before we get started, I think each of us wanted to just say kind of where we're coming from, because some of us are athletes that are signed, Katie and Ellie, and some of us are, working in the space. So we're going to try to be open about this and, talk about what we think is happening in general, but we also have to be a little bit careful with what we share, because we know friends and etc. So I guess we're each going to talk about like where we're coming from just to kick it off.
And I can start with this because mine is the most simple approach possible. I am just an ultra fan of the sport. And that's it. I do participate, but in that mid pack or so. But I am just a fan of the sport, and professionally, I do engineering, so that's completely outside of the sport. But I am a huge fan of the sport, and that's the angle that I'm coming at it from.
However, as we mentioned before, Russ, you are a very informed fan of the sport.
An informed fan of the sport.
You follow
that's
this
correct.
Stuff really closely. So you have thoughts, and they're very interesting as well. So yeah, and I am coming from this. I now work for the feed. We have an athlete team. I do talk to a lot of athletes, but I am not going to be sharing anything that has not been publicly announced. Or if I have guesses on things, I'm excited to share my guesses, but I will only guess on things that I have no information about. So yeah, I love being part of it. And it's super interesting starting to follow also like the cycling and the triathlon world of moves there and brands there. And that's been really interesting to kind of get into. So that is where I am coming from. I'm on the lovely Aravaipa racing team, which has already been announced. Yay, go Aravaipa. Everybody loves Aravaipa. So
I have an Aravaipa shirt on. Tucson Marathon.
They're amazing. And
it's great.
So, yeah, I'm excited to be continuing with them and Injinji. Sorry. Whoa, not a hot take there. Injinji socks. Okay, Katie, go.
Wait, I have a quick question. Is just on the Aravaipa, or do we know anything about Aravaipa's moves this year? Besides, so last year they took over some races that were East Coast, and now they have some athletes that are on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Like,
so like what they're doing as a company?
As a company, do you know if there's going to be a more investment in other parts of the country? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so they already announced they moved into California.
With one race, right?
A couple of very small races in California. But I do know that they want to continue expanding. Also interesting and maybe of note, because it is an Aravaipa race, now Black Canyon 50K is part of the World Trail Major short distance.
Okay, did they change it to a 50K?
It's a 50K, yeah. It's now it ends at Deep Canyon Ranch, because you can't end at Black Canyon City anymore. So it's now a 50K, and it's part of that series, which we could talk about a little. I don't know. World Trail Majors is a interesting, evolution. I feel like it's super cool, but maybe it didn't show up as much last year as it's like who won? I know Courtney won on the women's side for the long, but I didn't hear a lot about it. So yeah, but I think Aravaipa will continue to expand. And I mean, speaking about the live streams, right? I think that they did, can't remember the stats on it, but they did more than double the live streams that they did the year before last year.
And in terms of their athlete team, anywhere where they have races, they do allow people to apply to be on their racing team. So that has expanded over the years from like just Arizona to Arizona and Colorado to Arizona, Colorado, and Utah to the East Coast. And so
I saw
that's
there's a couple in
expanding.
California. Yeah.
Yeah, interestingly, when I was getting ready to start Javelina, I was in the tent and Sierra DeGroff came in and I was like, I don't know this person, but they're in the Revipa tent. And it was like, well, she's from Vegas. She's on the Utah team and I'd never met her. And she runs like Jackpot and like those short or those
Nevada
like
team.
that long. Yeah. And so she's a total crusher. I didn't really know her. And so like they're just like picking up some super solid people on the team. So it's cool.
Where is this team announced? Because it looks like for last year is still up there.
They announced it on the Aravaipa pages, like
Oh,
the
okay.
yeah, they haven't updated the site yet, but Aravaipa Instagram has the announcement of there's like a page for each. It starts with Arizona, then Colorado, then of who's on the team this year. So Lauren
Cool.
Piraz continues to be on the Colorado team. I mean, we have people like Ryan
Sullivan, right?
Sullivan, people that are, like Ryan Sullivan was second at JFK, second at JFK this year. Like, there's some super solid people on the team, so it's cool.
And Corinne Shalvoy. I mean,
thanks.
She won the Busan Marathon.
Not the year Ellie ran it. I didn't run as fast as Ellie ran at it this year. She got second.
That girl was crazy. Who won? Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a fast time. Okay, Katie, where
we went off the rails a little bit. So I will speak about where I'm coming in from the sport. My name is Katie Asmuth, and I am a lifelong runner. I've been doing this for probably a decade or so. Spent the last 4 years repping Saucony. It was awesome. And now I am transitioning to another company, which has been it's been a roller coaster. So we can speak a little bit to our personal experiences, but yeah, it was a big decision to move on. I had an offer to continue with Saucony and decided to look elsewhere just to see. And they were really transparent about, and we can get into it, but about their commitment and investment in trail. It's changing. So they wanted to keep me on. They're so good to me and so nice to me. And golly, can I just tell you, when it comes down to repping a company, it means a lot when they treat you like family, and they always did, and they wanted what was best for me, and it was really awesome. But they told me, they're like, maybe you need to look to a different company that is investing more in trail, because I think you would be of more value for that company, but we love you and we want you to continue with us if you want to continue with us. So it was nice because it was like this, hey, we're here if you want us, but if not, then, we're going to, peace and kind of separate. But it felt really all supportive the whole time. And anyway, so I can speak more and more to that, but that's where I'm coming from in the sport. And I can't quite announce my new sponsor yet, but I'm really pumped about it. So that's where I'm at.
Are they going to give you like a cute little like, goodbye, Katie, thank you? Like I've seen some companies do that and I think it's cute.
That's really cute. They didn't do that. I got a ton of text messages and like I sent an email out to all the athletes and was like, I'm a total sucker for closure and just wanted to say bye. So then I got all these emails back from athletes, which was very cool because really the Saucony team, it was really just Adam, Mary, Grayson, Murphy, and I. And Adam Mary has officially retired from professional running, and he told Saucony he wasn't re-signing in July, which was really interesting. But then he's going to run the Black Canyon 50K. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
You can run and not run for a brand. Like he's a dad. He's got stuff,
He's got stuff going on. And honestly, I think it's out of respect, right? For whoever you're repping, that you're like, hey, I can't put in the commitment I need to put in to be able to be at my best self. And I still want to be a part of the sport and, be involved and keep racing. Anyway, so it's just Grayson Murphy now on the Saucony Trail team. She started it. She's continuing it. So,
okay. All right. Yay. Thank you, Katie. Okay. Ellie, where are you coming from?
I'm Ellie. I'm probably yelling. Sorry, everybody. And I have been with On for 3 years, and I have 1 year left of my contract. And then I might move on. I don't know, but still love running. So even if I'm not repping a brand, I'll always put in the same level of effort that I always do. So
Well, and one thing I think would be interesting to say is like, we're turning over the new year. Why don't we all say something that we're like excited about? Ellie, I know you just ran Tucson Marathon and you've got kind of road marathon in your blood. Like, what are you excited about coming into 2025?
I'm healthy, which is pretty great. Katie and I, we lament all the time, just like how grateful we are to be running. I started and finished the race healthy. I feel pretty good. I'm started doing a couple runs this past week, took a couple weeks off, which was really nice for the holiday. And then my 2025 is going to be a lot of road stuff. So I'm doing some half marathons this spring. I'm going to do probably another marathon in May. And then because it is my last year with On, I kind of want to make the most of it. I'm going to do a bucket list race for me in June. I'm going to do Comrades. Hopefully start and finish that healthy. That's the main goal. And then take some time off, enjoy the summer here, have a Colorado mountain summer because I'll be not doing, I'm in grad school, so I will not be working. And then hopefully, if everything bodes well, I'd like to keep doing marathons for the next while now. I kind of realized I want more time for my body, like to really feel like I can put in tons of time on my feet, not necessarily distance. And Comrades is going to be a little bit of a shorter ultra. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And thankfully, Tucson was really fun because I sort of made these plans and before the race. And I was like, well, if I hate this, that's going to really suck for the next 4 years. But I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So I'm just going to keep doing what my coach Corinne Malcolm and I have been doing, and I'm enjoying it. So that's kind of where I'm heading this year.
Okay, Comrades is not a short ultra. It's 55 miles. And is it an
Yeah,
up
but
year or a
like
down
relatively
year?
speaking, it should take me less time because
Okay,
it's a road
true,
and
true,
it's a
true, true.
down year.
It's a down year. So excited about the down year then.
Well, I am now more conscious that I actually have to train for downhills, even if they're slight downhills, because Tucson was downhill and I could feel that. But I think part of that was we really wanted to be careful coming back from the pelvis stress fracture about running downhill too much, because I'd rather have normal bones and be muscularly sore after the race than like do something that could compromise my health. And so now if we have a little bit of confidence coming from the Tucson Marathon that we can push a little bit, which excites me because, I really enjoy this sport and I have a lot of fun marathoning, and I have a couple groups of women out here that I am looking forward to training with.
Yeah, I love that for you. I'll go next real quick. I am on the Get Your Western States qualifiers track. So I'm 0 for 2, but I know that this is a process, right? For me anyway. So Black Canyon 100K is on my
Wait, you're 0
radar.
for 2 in getting selected for
Getting
the
in.
lab.
Yeah.
Not
So
in qualifiers. You've got
oh,
qualifiers.
no. Yeah, okay. I've gotten qualifiers the last 2 years, so it's like, for somebody like me, this might be like a 7-ish to 8. 7 and 8, I think, is like about maybe the sweet spot for me somewhere around this track. So we're gonna keep going on that track and get an early qualifier at Black Canyon and have a great time, and then continue the season from there.
I hope we all have good news coming out of Black Canyon weekend.
Yes, I want good news for everybody in Black Canyon.
Corinne, you're
Yeah.
doing the live commentary?
Who?
What do you do?
Me?
Yes.
I volunteered to, or I told them I would be open to doing it. I believe Corinne Malcolm is doing some of it, so I'm sure that she will be selected over me too. But I think it'd be kind of cool to have the Corinnes doing.
Yeah, we need t-shirts
that would
like
be funny.
narrating ultra running, Corinne squared.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going down in a few capacities. One, to support feed athletes racing, as well as racing the 100K, well, and maybe the 50K as well. And then I'm racing the 50K. Would love to get a 50K PR because I think that's a course you can do it at. So I'm excited to maybe go for that. And then supporting the Castle Rock Run Club, friends. Like, we have so many people running, and I'm coaching a couple of them that are running their first 100Ks there. So Graham is running 100K, the 100K. He's working on the 100K distance to prep for his 100 miler. So he's running 200Ks to practice all the nutrition and everything, so that hopefully he can make that happen this year. So it'll be a super fun group at Black Canyon, and I love that race. I just go every other year. I go back and forth. So I started at the 50K. It's where I met Leah and Rachel Drake. Then I did the 100K. It was my first 100K. Then I did the 60K again. Then I did the 100K and DNF'd. Then I did the 60K. Then I ran the 100K last year, and now I'm back to the 50K. So Arizona in February it is, yet again.
Yeah, what's your race schedule look like, Corinne, after that? After your incredible performance at Javelina?
Oh, man, thank you. Well, you know what? That's why I'm only doing the 50K, because, like, I'm not ready to run 100K, I don't think, again yet. Maybe I would be, but I don't want to push it. So I don't know for sure. It's still developing, but my goal this year is to run a Hard Rock qualifier because I need to start entering that lottery. So I'm in the lottery for Cascade Crest, and I'll find out January 14th, I think, if I get into that one. And then I have a lot of races I want to do, and I'm going to kind of shape the year around if that happens or not.
Yeah, it's hard to recover from. Like Riley Brady is doing the 100K of Black Canyon, and they just recover so fast. But that's the one thing I'm really enjoying about doing the marathon training is I recover so much faster. Like I don't feel that like nervous system, just like fatigue, which I know a lot of ultra runners love that, and like they love racing just so that they can like feel that sense for a while. But for me, like I just like being energetic and in my normal life and stuff. And so it's been kind of nice to have a little bit of just like a shorter, or like, it was more like I still took like 3 weeks off, but like most of that time I felt like my normal energy level self, like, and I kind of really appreciated that. So can definitely understand why it takes a long time to recover from 100 miles.
Yeah, that's awesome that Riley's doing the 100K. And I think, I believe Heather Jackson's in as well. And I'm always kind of like, well, why would you do it if you don't need to? Because you're in, to Western. But at the same time, I think it's awesome because it raises the whole field, because it creates, more competition. And therefore, I think it's exciting because it's like, oh, if this person finishes top 2 or 3, it might go down to 4 and 5. And like, so it's always interesting to me when people who are already into Western decide to run one of the golden ticket races.
I mean, it's a party too, right? Like it's fun to go out there,
Yeah, totally. Okay. Is that everybody's what we're
Katie,
looking for?
what do you have going at the start of 2025?
Oh, we know.
Yeah, I've kind of thrown all of my eggs into Black Canyon and just seeing what shakes out there. And the hope is that I get into states. And then I'm also into Gorge. So trying to get a world's qualifier or to get on the world's team. So the best plan would be Black Canyon, Gorge, Western States, Worlds. That would be the most ideal. If that doesn't happen, if I don't get into Worlds or States, then I don't know what I'm doing. Then I'll figure it out from there and have to like really plead race directors to let me into their races. But yeah, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. So that's our map.
Love it. That
sounds great.
Super exciting. We also did a podcast on Black Canyon, one of the Ultra Uncovered, so you can go back and listen to that. It's a good one. Check it out because it was super fun. We had Keely on, another Freetrail. There's all this Freetrail connections.
Yeah.
Turns out we're all connected.
Speaking of people with things that are changing, Keely's not re-signing with Ultra, so that's interesting.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh, really?
Yeah, it's known. Like I think it's known. Yeah, just wants to do the medical school thing, which
good for her.
Mad respect, and I also think they're like with their they do Trail Society, and Corinne's working on a whole structure there to make sure they're taken care of too.
Nice. Yeah, it's super interesting. We have people like David saying, stating that he's not signing with a shoe company, and just some it's just, I don't know, it's interesting because there are definitely things that are required from you as the person signing that maybe won't work with your life or what you want to do or where you want to race, and that's also very valid and I think should be honored.
I mean, on that note, if we want to dive in a little bit, like Ellie Ostrander just signed with Hoysel. I'm going to say that wrong. Hoysel? Wazel. Thank you. Wazel. And they don't have shoes, to my knowledge.
Nope.
So then she can run in whatever she wants.
Apparel
so I
brand.
think there is something about having a non-shoe sponsor that allows, kind of opens some doors, especially if you can get the financial incentives there, and performance bonuses and travel budget and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, we've had rumors about some interesting out of the box ideas that people are signing with, and also people that have just reached out to other companies outside of the typical shoe nutrition sponsor. So super interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where people end up. Should we start walking down person by person, or what do you think?
Yeah, let's do this. We wanted to, and then we'll touch back on disruptors or non-endemic brands that are involved in the space a little bit later, because that is a very interesting topic, Katie. But we worked on from the fantasy Freetrail site to pull a list of folks who are, either their contracts are ending or they are switching sponsors, or these are things that have been announced that they will not be continuing or are known that their contracts have ended. So Russ, do you want to go through the list?
Let me run through these, and then what I'd really like to hear from all of you is just if there's any surprises out of any of that, or any themes or things that you might think are interesting after I run through this list. So Madalena Floria, she participated a bunch on the Golden Trail World Series. She's no longer going to be representing Salomon. Francesco Pupi is no longer going to be representing Nike Trail. Hannah Allgood is...
Do you guys feel like we should say something about each person? I mean, I feel like we have stuff to talk about with every person.
I'm totally game for that. Do you have some comments on Madalena or Francesco?
I'm just like shocked. Like, I'm hoping it's because her contract's up and that then she resigns something bigger with somebody else, because the fact that Salomon would let her go is just a little bit surprising. I mean, she had a killer year.
She had a fantastic year. She was one of the main characters on that show.
Right. But maybe the Salomon Golden Trail, maybe that is influencing that conversation, because that's really where she performs. But
I don't think it is.
Really surprised by that.
Because I think they're still focusing on Golden Trail, but I'm also shocked by this one because she's like up and coming, super like big personality.
She's a personality, yes.
Big personality, basically like creating a brand for herself with her, decorating her kit and wearing like funky hair, and like, she almost to me was a little bit of like how Allie Mack was in Golden Trail Series a couple of years ago. Like she's like the personality of it. And so, I'm also very surprised on this. And it's interesting because I don't know if it's like her contract ending and them not re-signing, or her intentionally leaving just to go somewhere else. It's hard to know what the dynamics are there, but I'm surprised as well on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I think the same thing with Francesco Pupi, right? So like his post was very upfront about, I'm parting my ways because I don't believe in some of what Nike stands for or what Nike's vision is for the sport. And so I'm going to part ways. So it seemed that it was very much his decision, which was interesting. It always interests me, and we could talk about this with Courtney Olsen too, but it's interesting when an athlete has been supported by a brand for a long time and then it sort of like leaves with some bad taste in their mouth and makes it public.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is spicy, but like, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Like, I don't know. It's such a...
Like it. I'm glad you have a backbone. It's kind of like when a wife has been like abused by her husband, but her husband's like supporting her financially, and then she leaves. It's like, yeah, you should tell people this person's a piece of shit. Tell this company sucks. Yeah, no, same thing. I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad you have a backbone, Francesco. I knew I liked you ever since PTRA, and say what you got to say.
Great. He's so great. So I wonder, like the only other option is normal to me. Like normal.
Yeah, I was like, he's got to go to normal.
You're going to normal, right?
I think an athlete like him would have a lot of options. Like he's had some great seasons. He's really integrated into, even American trail running as an international runner. And I feel like he's very marketable and popular among people. I think he would have a lot of options.
But don't you think, Russ, he's going to...
Yes.
But don't you think he's going to go for a brand that is like ethically, like ethics forward? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
Less
that he's
performance forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Normal makes a lot of sense for me, for somebody like him. I just think even just a fresh start with a different brand and doing something like that. He did say that he didn't feel supported and recognized. And I think among the trail teams on some of these bigger shoe companies, that's kind of going to be the way it is. Like Nike Trail compared to the track and field teams and compared to the basketball teams and compared to all these other things, they're not going to get the attention. Whereas a brand like Normal or a brand like Norda or a brand that is integrated into the trail community, I think there's just more opportunity for there to be good partnership and communication from that perspective.
What if he's like Freetrail's first full-time sponsored athlete?
Yes, that's what we want to see, Poopy.
Yeah,
Come
come on,
on.
Dylan. Dylan, let's
Let's
go.
go. Okay, so something that is interesting to me about this. So Courtney Olsen, okay?
Hold on, before we go into Courtney Olsen, can I make a comment?
Yes.
My comment is that this is very much to me akin to if you are leaving a company and on LinkedIn you announce that you're leaving the company and then you say this company sucks. What people are doing on Instagram. And I understand that I don't disagree, Ellie, that it's okay to have a backbone and to stand up for yourself, but that putting that on the internet where it's going to be there and live forever does influence your own ability to market yourself in the future, etc. Like I would never, I mean, it is so silly in this world to burn any bridges because everyone is so connected and tied to one another that like to do that, I just don't think that it is doing you any favors as an athlete to make those statements that like. And Francesco's was okay because it was kind of buried in there. It was like the pickle sandwich. It was like it was buried right in the middle. And it was just
It
like,
was a compliment sandwich.
I'm not getting the support I receive. And that I'm not getting the support I want is different than saying, shame on you. You didn't do this. Now, look.
And making a shirt that says, I got dropped.
Yeah. I mean,
so savage, I gotta be honest.
Ellie's
Like, yeah, she's going down in flames, but like, I'll watch. My God.
Like, get your popcorn.
If we want people to be professionals in this world, like you have to act professional and you can't, I just don't think that it is doing you any favors as an athlete to.
But do you guys pay attention to like actual professional sports like football and basketball and like the shit talking they do online? Like it's great for the brand. Like it's what keeps people interested. Now we're watching.
So it's good for the brand, but it's not good for the athlete. It's going to create like, how's it good for the athlete?
Right. Like if you were Ellie, if you were an athlete manager, would you take some of those posts? Like if you saw a post of another athlete just left their brand for 4 years, they were supported and then just like stomped on them. Wouldn't you think twice about having that athlete on your team? I would. I'd be like, I don't know if this is the right fit. Like I
would probably take that and then I'd be like, well, what the fuck is wrong with the company that I represent? That's not a good thing.
But there's two sides to every story, and we haven't heard from Hoka what they did for her. And that's the hard thing is that like, yes, she said this, but if we talk to the Hoka athlete manager, there's probably an entire story there around what they're allowed to do from a brand and marketing standpoint, et cetera, et cetera. And I totally agree with you. It just sounds like there wasn't good communication about like what was expected and then what was given. And that's where it didn't end up. Yeah, it didn't end up working.
And a little bit of unfortunate timing also, right? Like she said in her post that she was made aware that they were no longer going to continue a contract before her 50-mile world record at Tunnel Hill. So it's like if she combines the Tunnel Hill plus a Comrades and Hoka has that information, I don't know if we're in the same situation there. So it's a little bit unfortunate there.
Your brand, your sponsor tells you they are no longer going to sign you, which is a business decision. They don't have to re-sign you. They have no responsibility or obligation to do so. They tell you we're not going forward in 2025. You then don't go and look around. Like, isn't that like obvious that like, okay, you're not sponsored next year?
It's almost like getting let go and getting a severance and being told you can go look for another job now. Right? Like if it is
like you're free, like we're
Yeah.
not going to sponsor you, for next year, but then you go set this world record and you're like, well, aren't you going to sponsor me? And they're like, no, like we
Like,
told you
we've
we
made
weren't,
that
we're going a different
decision.
direction.
But there was opportunity to kind of, and she got
Find somebody else.
the first time I heard from her was on the Freetrail podcast. So, and I thought it was a great interview. I thought it was very entertaining.
Like a badass athlete. Like she
Yes.
is phenomenal. Like setting a
But I
world
mean, it
record.
goes back to, like, I think we've said this a couple of times, like right place, right time, what the direction the brand is going. There's a lot of factors that, like, I mean, there are people that I run with here, like in Boulder and stuff, and I'm like, they're like, it amazes me, like, that these people don't, just based on like athleticism or whatever. But I don't know. It really is a lot of like right place, right time, and like luck meets opportunity, and we all are working very hard. That's kind of the standard. So
yeah,
You're
I
right.
just wish you went and found somebody else before that world record,
Yeah.
and then it wouldn't have
Totally
probably
agree.
been so. I don't know.
I mean, before I heard her on Freetrail, I didn't know that she was a Hoka athlete. So I guess that's telling you something there that, like, I mean, maybe it's just because I didn't know of her that, and I didn't follow her. But like, if I don't know, it seems like Hoka was not necessarily promoting her or raising awareness around her, and maybe vice versa, so I don't know.
which is an interesting thing because, like, she probably has like a full-time job. I mean, it's not like we can just spend our lives dancing on Instagram, like, and so if you're not going to market, like, I kind of think that, like, in the going forward contract negotiations, there needs to be like I guess now we know, like, you need to negotiate in your contract. People are going to come out and take photos of me. Or if you want me to post on Instagram, you're going to have to send somebody out. Like, because, like, I'm sorry, that's not like me running fast does not correlate to me wanting to waste my time making videos for Instagram. Sorry. Like, if that's not because I have a job because you're not paying me enough to do this full time. So, I think there's a lot like going on in there that maybe like she just, if we don't know about people, but they're sponsored or really great athletes, it's because like, well, they have to live their lives. They can't just spend their time marketing themselves.
No, that's exactly right. It is Hoka's responsibility, in my mind, to market her. And why wouldn't they? Here's someone who just got third at one of the oldest ultras in the world. And it's however many people. How many people run Comrades? 10,000?
Yeah.
Like, well, that's why I'm
40,000.
doing it. Like 70,000 people. It's awesome.
70,000? Yeah. So why isn't there a picture of her in her Hoka kit, getting third place, getting on the podium at this race? Like that, I don't know if I never saw that. And that is something they absolutely should have highlighted.
Well, what are Comrades performances that you guys can remember from the last 10 years of people besides Camille, maybe?
Well, I mean, Greta wins every year, so I know who that is. I mean, Ellie, my namesake, it's true. And I mean, this brings us back to debates we've had before about like road ultras versus trail ultras and how our attention has more shifted towards trail ultras being what we pay attention to. I'm not saying it's a bad or good thing. It's just an observation of society. And so, I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. Like, but I still think her post is savage. Was it like the exact perfect thing that I would do or you should do? No, but it was.
Okay, so Ellie loves Francesco's and Courtney's posts, but one of the posts that I thought was great, and I think people should take a sign of how to leave a brand, is Hannah Allgood's post, leaving Dynafit. I thought that was awesome. It was a great tribute. I think it's clear that she's moving to something else that she's really excited about. So I think that also helps, right? It's not like leaving this company, I don't know what the next step is. It's like I'm leaving this company. I've sort of like outgrown this, I think is kind of the vibe that I got. But also it was just very appreciative of like her big win at Eiger and just like a lot of things without putting anything else into it. So I don't know if you guys have any comments on Hannah.
Yeah. Did you see Dynafit did the same thing to her?
Yeah.
So that was really cool, is that it was this back and forth where Dynafit then says, great job, we've loved having you on the team, like a post about Hannah, which was so cool. Like that is how it should be done, right? It's like, let's celebrate what we've done together, and appreciate what we've both gotten from the relationship, and we're moving on, and that's okay, and that's normal in business, but
this is why we need our names on the back of our singlet so they can retire our jersey, raise it up in the Dynafit store, and that's what we need.
and she needs to sign it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So does
Yeah,
anyone have
missed
any
opportunity.
guesses on where Hannah's head
She
is?
seems like a Nike girl to me, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no insight at all. I just am like, that fits.
I want to can we riff a little bit about the athlete's responsibility of marketing themselves, because we did touch on that. It's the brand's responsibility, but like also they don't do it. And it's really annoying, right? Like,
Wait, who
it's
doesn't do
on the
it?
athlete to get your
Who
own
doesn't do it?
photographers a lot and to like promote themselves. And I think that that's a massive opportunity for brands to actually use their athletes that they're paying to market their brand. Like, use them like they're an entity, like market them. I don't know. I just feel like it's not being done as efficiently as it should be done.
Holistically?
And
Like
send me a drone, send me a gimbal. I don't know, like give me some training on it. I don't know, connect me with, give me a social media budget, that I can actually go and pay local photographers to take pictures
Well,
of
you
myself.
just renegotiated your contract. There wasn't anything in there about that.
No. And I actually asked for that, and it was like, no, we can't do that right now. And I'm like, okay, then you're not going to get good pictures. Lots of selfies. Cool. Sounds fine with me. I don't
Well,
care.
that's really interesting, because I do think that going back to like some of these non-endemic brands, I'll just comment because this is what we do at the feed, is that literally if you are on our high performance team, I've told you this before too, Ellie, we do send a photographer.
Yeah, it's
for your
awesome.
big races, because we want the content from it. And it's not, and I'm not going to send you a drone and ask you to do your own stuff, or give you a gimbal and ask you to do your own stuff, because that's taking away from your ability to prepare for your race. So yeah, I mean, we can't go to every single race if you race 10 times, but your key races, we are absolutely going to have a photographer there taking pictures of you. And we're going to give you those pictures, as well as, have them in our archive and use them for marketing. And that includes having an image right in your contract about us being able to use them. So
Yeah.
it's a win-win. That is the content. That is our,
Yeah. I mean, that's like a no-brainer, right? But not all brands are doing that.
No, they're not. It's weird. But I think some of the non-endemic brands are doing it, and it's interesting. They would think that that's kind of a standard. So like John G, I think they have photographers and everything. I was with Ryan Montgomery at Western last year. We had a photographer. They also had a photographer documenting the whole thing. So I don't know. I mean, but it is absolutely something that has to be considered as part of the marketing budget for sure. Right. But, and then there's this whole thing about UTMB having an image license now that is yet another layer of things that is complicated, and I don't love it. But
can you talk about that, Corinne?
Well, I think, I think if you're going to be in the media at UTMB, if you not in the media, if you are going to take photographs of somebody who's running a UTMB race, you are now required to pay an image license to UTMB,
which is very expensive.
It's moving around the pricing on it, and they used to do per race, or you could do like the whole year or whatever. Now they're just going to do one thing for the entire year. It's extremely expensive. And basically they're saying you cannot use the name of our race. You cannot use any imagery from it that has UTMB in it, which is the bib. Therefore, no photos if you are not one of our partners, and if you don't pay for this image license. So the problem with that is that you now have to pay an image license as a brand, and you have to pay a photographer. So now we're taking money away from freelance photographers because we can't afford to pay both this image license and a photographer to take these photos. So it's becoming very difficult to take photos of athletes at any UTMB race because of what they've put in place here. And I don't know.
That's not new. That's been the case, right? The last couple of years. Or is it changing?
I only saw it last year and this year. But that means that I don't know. Are people doing this?
From a business perspective? Like, don't they want more images of UTMB everywhere? I don't know. It's just interesting to me.
They're trying to protect their partners. Yeah. If you're a main partner of Hoka, we're trying to protect you by saying you
of UTMB, not Hoka.
Of UTMB, which is Hoka, a lot of times.
No, I mean they're separate, but
no, but Hoka sponsored a lot of UTMB races, right? Yeah. So anyways, I don't know. That's a different topic. let's get back to freeling.
They're just
No, it's
protecting
interesting.
us. I feel so protected. Hell yeah. Let's just keep going.
All right.
Okay, what else do we have?
Well, we've got people that so we mentioned Courtney Olson there. We've got people that we know, like Chris Myers, Lottie Brinks, Darren Thomas, all leaving the Solomon team. So that's kind of a thing that we're noticing. That's sort of a commonality there among these U.S. athletes. No
So
real
I bet
indication on
Courtney's contract for 5 years is pretty large. They probably don't have much money left in the budget for these people.
Courtney did sign a 5-year contract, and my guess is that it's got a lot of digits in it for that 5-year contract.
Should.
Yes.
True, but we think about when people, like I was thinking about this with Tara Dower as well. You know, I think it's great. However, it's not like that means that the pie is bigger. It just means that one person gets more of the pie because, like, the money, there isn't more money right now. Like, I'd love it for the pie to be bigger, but I don't really think that's where we're at yet. Hopefully, we're getting there. But based on these transitions from Solomon,
Yeah.
I don't think the pie's bigger yet.
I mean, I think you would argue that she makes the pie.
Yeah, that's true. She's the baker.
Well, that's the question, is that seems to be the strategy of, do we have a high quantity team of pretty good people, or do we have the best and that's it? And that's something that, like, yeah, is up to the brand. And also, you know, but it's interesting to have that conversation of what has more influence within the community, or what has, you know, more, I guess, what is a better strategy for the brand? Do they get as much visibility and exposure by just having Courtney? Or if they had 10 people and not Courtney, how does that translate?
Well, Solomon still has one of the biggest trail teams out there. If you look at the Freetrail website, you can break it down per team, per brand, and you can see how many athletes have been listed underneath there. I think Solomon still has something like 50 athletes, 46 athletes, a lot of international athletes, right? But 46 athletes there. Hoka has like 49 athletes that are listed there. So they're sort of taking that, you know, think about track and field, like so many athletes are Nike athletes in track and field. And Nike's taken that approach of like, okay, we're going to have this many, and some of them might hit, and then we'll really capitalize on that. And maybe that's
yeah, it's very much more a global team than having a US pro team. It's just a global
I think
team.
the reputation, and you guys can all speak to this, Corinne, you've run for Solomon before, but there's a reputation within Solomon that they don't treat their North American athletes very well, except for Courtney. That it's a very much global focused team, and that if you are a professional Solomon athlete running in the States, except Courtney, that you largely are not getting a great contract.
Yeah.
Like that is the reputation that I've heard.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. And I think, to be clear, we just need to say that Courtney is an international athlete on their global team. She is not part of the North American team. And therefore, she reports to an athlete manager out of Europe and Annecy. And that's part of,
right? I think Jared was on it for a little bit, but besides, right?
Yeah, Jared was, I mean, internationally, Martina Valmasoy is, like, so others that don't necessarily live in Europe, I think, are Lucy is.
No, I'm saying in the United States, like who
Matt is the other big Solomon athlete who's continued to be representing that brand.
Yeah, that's true.
Who did you say, Russell?
Max. King.
He is a U.S. long-time Solomon.
But is he on the world's team or the North American team?
I think he has probably a different arrangement or something, because he also does camps. He does a lot of different things. So, you know, to me,
he never ages. I don't even know. What is in his water?
It's true.
The guy can permanently run a steeple in 9 minutes every time.
Yeah.
So he's so nice. He's cool. Yeah. But yeah, Solomon, I think, is we've also seen them like let go of people that just, man, are super solid. I mean, look at the people on this team, like they're on the brink of, you know, super greatness. It's like Chris Myers is just, what did he just do at Western? Like Lottie just ran Western. Like, it's not like these are people that are not like holding up their end of the performance deal. So it is interesting that they're losing them, or or letting them go or whatever they're doing. I think
Can we talk about some of the departures from Adidas Terex?
Yes.
2 pretty big surprises. Cordis Hall. So Abby's still going to be with Terex, but Cordis is no longer going to be with Adidas. And Tom Evans is no longer going to be with Adidas. So that to me feels like maybe he's got a big deal somewhere else going on, because that guy is a premier athlete in our sport.
Sponsored by the military.
Red Bull in the military?
I asked Annie about it today. She couldn't give me any information. Because she's being coached by Tom Evans. And so I was like, give me the juice. And she said that she didn't know. But it was interesting that she said that Tom, and I didn't realize this, that Tom has a massive following of like almost not a cult following, but people that really lean towards scientific ways of doing this sport, right?
So he is the American man wet dream. He is military, science person, looks like no bullshit, like God body, like got a wife who does things for him. He's what we want here in America. And I don't mean women, I mean men. That is what they want.
He does kind of have that a little bit like hybrid athlete vibe to him, even though I know that he is not that, but you know, he's no Nick Bear, but the military background, I do think you're right. There's a piece to that. There's some big appeal.
There's like a formula.
There's a formula. So not a normal athlete, probably, but
not a different vibe.
He's
right?
not just like drinking milk left and right. Like he's just.
There's got to be a brand that has to be able to afford him, because I guarantee he's not cheap.
Is it non-endemic, do you think? I mean, he's big connection with Red Bull, that maybe he's just going further in with Red Bull, and it's just like all in Red Bull. And then he can do whatever he wants, shoes-wise, gear-wise.
Yeah. I mean, they do.
Debo had that for many years.
That's a question
right?
for Debo.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know the guy. I'm just projecting.
I do know that Adidas is very, like, they want to own your head to toe. And so if you want to extend beyond that as an athlete and get other sponsors, it's like very hard to do so. And so maybe that was his justification. Yeah, I like that. Tom Evans, you're right.
I mean, they're also letting go of Sabrina Stanley, which is kind of interesting.
I saw that, and I noticed that Sabrina said that she was going to announce something in March. So that to me feels like a kind of a long time frame to wait for something, but yeah, I don't know.
But aren't you like, can you not wait for March? Like, are you like on the edge of your seat? Like, oh my God, when's March coming?
I'm going to forget about it. She's going to announce then like in April, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I wonder where she went. And I'll just going to Google it.
People need hype, man. People are like, we just need a little spice in this sport.
See, also, I'm like, where is Sabrina Stanley's like ripping Adidas Terex post? I want it. Give it to me right now, Sabrina. Please.
She did one, and then her partner's like, please don't do that. You are absolutely a bad idea.
Her partner's like, yo, have some weed. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
She definitely weed company. Everybody knows.
And then like had to take it down. Come on.
Boy.
Sabrina says how it is.
Wow. Good stuff. Okay. Tom Evans.
Dude, I didn't hear this about Matt working with Rad Boulder. What's this about? Matt Daniels working with Rad Boulder?
It's a nutrition company.
No,
so
I know what Rad Boulder is, for goodness sakes. But like,
I don't know what he's doing for them.
No. She's representing him.
Oh, okay.
Ellie Newland is representing Matt. That's what
I was like, is Matt getting into being a chef? Like, I'm sorry.
No.
She's
representing him. Yeah.
Kelly Newland of Red Boulder.
Matt is also doing Black Canyon.
Hell yeah.
The 100K.
I love that.
Good things for that boy. I want it so bad.
Same.
Yeah. Okay, so we don't really know where we're TBD on Tom, although he hasn't put a ticker on his Instagram of when he's announcing.
Rude. Keep us guessing. I would just check every day.
That is more exciting than knowing when they're going to announce. Like, he just says, I'm leaving Adidas, and then you don't know when he's going to announce. So we have to pay a lot more attention.
I know. With Sabrina, I'm like, I could ignore you for 3 more months. Like, really, that's what my brain thinks. Like, I don't have to worry about this for 3 more months. And I like Sabrina. I think that about everybody.
Dude, I think, contract season is tough because it's all in fall. Everything's condensed. And there's so many athletes moving around. The athlete managers their budget is based on if that athlete decides to go one direction or their direction, right? So there's so many moving pieces. And it like takes a bit to have it shake out. And so most contracts are January 1st. And then you have to get all the apparel and get all the shoes and get the photo shoot lined up and all that. I feel like I'm not that surprised that people don't announce like beginning of January. I guess I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah, it is a stressful, interesting time for all parties involved. Okay, Brittany Peterson from Nike.
Yeah, I talked to Brittany.
Okay, well,
I'm sad for her.
Has she's had a tough couple of years with injury and stuff like that.
Yeah, but she's coming back. She's like, I'm not old news. I'm motivated more than ever. Like I'm really rooting for her.
Comebacks. Think about Marianne Hogan. Think about Abigail. Think about like that happens all the time.
Asmuth. Think about Ellie Pelle. They are coming back.
The brands need to bet on the super talents. They know who the talents are. So yeah, absolutely. Somebody like Brittany.
That reminds me. Is Casey Lichtai still running for Hoka?
She runs for Rabbit.
No. That ended last year, Ellie. Oh, news. Come on, Ellie.
Sorry.
Okay, we have
that was an interesting one, though. We wanted to get her on the Trail Network podcast because Casey's obviously, it was shocking because she just got her 10th Western States this past year, 2024. And it was like, why, Hoka, are you dropping her? This is a massive story. Like, what a great opportunity to like market your athlete who's a veteran, who's won it, who's gone 30 hours. Like she's done the whole gamut at States. And it's just the 10th buckle. Like, come on, this is such a great story. But they dropped her. And it was interesting because it sounded like with that, this is old news, but it was like they just didn't resign and she just didn't really think to look elsewhere. And I don't know. I'm like,
she sounds like what I'm going to do. When I'm resign me, I'm like, great. This is all right. See you guys. I still got shoes for the next 20 years.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I see that stack of shoes behind you. You're set. You're good for like at least 10
Can you talk about that? Talk about sustainability. Oh my God. All of my apparel, all of my shoes. What am I doing with all of them? Like,
I remember this. I was on a podcast yesterday and I was like, this is greenwashing. Would you like to see?
Yeah.
Katie, what I do is I look at local high schools to give it to like girls or boys, whatever. I also have a large foot, so I give them to like all my male running friends.
Yeah.
And
then when worst comes to worst, I get mad. I just go sell it at Plato's Closet.
Oh, I haven't thought to do that. That feels weird because I got it for free, I don't know.
I tried to send it back and they said no.
You could just donate it.
Yeah, or that.
Prototypes, I can't give them away. Or maybe I can. Most of them
you could take it like to H&M and put it in the recycle thing. Like we'll recycle.
I think I've given them to Freetrail members. Like I'm like, oh, I have this. If anyone's a men's 9. Yeah. I've only gone to Plato's like once, but most of the time I just give it away.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this is a whole brand opportunity. If somebody wants to, for any athletes that are leaving a brand going to another, we could just ship it all to you and then you could, I don't know, give it to people that need it.
Recycle it.
Anyways, moving on.
So we don't know where Brittany's going or if she's going anywhere. Canyon Woodward is going from Scarpa. I didn't even know Scarpa was in the game. That's bad.
I don't even know what that is.
Shoe brand, small shoe brand.
It's a Topo, right?
I used to not know the difference between Scarpa and Norda, and now Brett and Finn are talking about Norda so much now that I can't. Now I'm like,
dude, the 005s are supposed to be sick.
Exactly, this 005 shoe that debuted at JFK and had a great showing.
Well, they were at TRE. Yeah.
Were they?
They were at TRE.
Okay.
Yeah. Jason Schlarb. Kat, he wore it for UTMB too. Or TDS. Kat Bradley will no longer be with Brooks. I don't know what Kat Bradley.
She's somebody who could probably pick up an endemic sponsor.
A non-endemic or an endemic?
A non-endemic, yeah, not running.
She was repping a sunglass company that wasn't a typical
Method 7 Method 7 was at a Silverton. They're like a small sunglass company.
It's cool.
But she hasn't been racing a lot. Well, she has some, but not. Yeah. Anyways, okay, continuing. Cordis Hall from Adidas, we said. I don't know. Do we think Cordis is going anywhere?
I don't.
I think he's going to be all in support of Abby.
Yeah, I think they're just going to make Abby's contract bigger.
Give the money to my wife.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it's
That's
always
the
been
family values we need.
Yeah, right. Man, yeah, Darren Thomas.
Adidas gave all their money to the Hemmings.
Hot
Not
take.
bad.
That could be.
Dude, I
That
would
is.
too. All my money's on the Hemmings.
Yeah.
Dude.
If you listen to our last pod, Graham Shalvoy loves the Hemmings. He's like, these kids out of Crumbling.
They're insane.
I know.
Dude, I feel like
they're so fun though too, just to talk to them when they used to come to Scratch, and I would talk to them for like 2 hours. I barely knew them. I don't know.
Katie's moving on from Saucony. TBD, to be announced. No clock. You have to pay attention every single day and follow her on Instagram to know where she's going.
Yeah, just on the edge of your seat.
Zoom into the Instagram pictures around the field. Are you trying to hide like what shoes you're
took a picture
wearing?
of me today on our run,
You're like,
I
what
was
are you doing?
"God, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "God,
Just
can't
put the
post
tacos
that."
on it like Camille used to do. Put tacos on your shoes.
Oh yeah,
That was
Great idea.
Yeah.
Jade had some good results this year. She's
Belford,
moving on.
she's
She
legit.
had a good year.
Jade Bellsberg.
She's awesome. She's talk about range, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She and Nicodemus. Moving on.
Yeah,
Okay,
she would be a good Norda actually, because she's Canadian, right? Isn't she?
Jade?
Yeah, or she lives in Canada. Anyway,
Maybe.
Check the Freetrail.
Yeah.
I know Nordo is making their rounds. I know that they were talking to people, and I think they're really invested in this 005, and that wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. I'm just
She signed up for Gorge Waterfalls 100K. Looks like she's going
for a World's team. Let's go.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, deep breath.
Okay,
We have everybody's so fast. Okay.
We have Ragnar DeBach.
Dude, okay, that's something, because I can speak a little bit to that, because Saucony and Merrill are owned by Wolverine Worldwide, so this same umbrella company. And it was interesting for me. It was kind of I leaned into this idea, but I don't know if it's accurate. Saucony told me, they're like, listen, they obviously have the Peregrine, and they have a lot of other shoes, and one shoe in particular that we worked really hard on, and I'm so excited for it to come out. It hasn't come out yet, but there's a long line of trail shoes with Saucony, and the Rift, the Exodus Ultra. I mean, we've gone on. The Wolverine World Ride, it's like Merrill is their trail line. So I think it's really interesting that Saucony is mostly road and track focused, and their athletes are, and that Merrill is kind of like the trail company, right? Under that umbrella, and they're taking those shareholders. Well, this one was really interesting to me, because I feel like Ragnar DeBots is such a legend and such a veteran in the sport and such a leader, that I was sad to see this. And I don't know if you guys read our post, but she was sad to see this. Like, it doesn't sound like she wanted to leave. And yeah, this one was really surprising to me. And Merrill, I will say, like, if you go to UTMB at the expo, I mean, Merrill has a massive presence abroad. So if you're listening from a North American perspective, like, maybe you see less Merrill athletes, or less Merrill on people's feet, but it's really big in Europe specifically. So I'm surprised by this. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I love Ragna, and I'm sorry to see this.
Yeah, she's amazing. Wow, she was pretty open. Merrill's response was a pay cut by nearly 70%. So she's being very open on social. I didn't see this. Holy moly. Wow. Okay. 10 years.
Do you guys remember she did that around the world trip? This was in 2022, I think. I raced her at Western States, and it was really cool. It was a part of her year-long adventure with her and her daughter and her husband, and they went around the world doing races, which was really cool. So I feel like she's a really good storyteller and has a really great presence, and I hope she gets picked up by somebody else.
That is interesting, because Merrill is keeping some people. Aren't they doing the whole FKT? Isn't that the thing that's like the Merrill FKT? I don't know. It's their
Merrill, I believe, is sponsoring Sky Running.
Yeah, so
well.
I think they sponsor like Mercedes Siegel Gaither and another person in the US.
Well, they have Reed, but he's Canadian. Reed Burrows.
Oh yeah, he's Canadian.
Morgan Elliott. I've got their list. 18 people.
I have Corey too.
Corey Woltering.
Yeah.
Wait, but Corey's also
Rachel
a John
Tomachek.
G athlete. So that's an interesting one. So Corey Wiltering is John G, Merrill, both. So he has a shoe and an apparel.
And then they
Just
have
harder and harder to come by.
yeah.
Even to get a pack. I couldn't keep Osprey. It was so sad.
Because you have to be completely whatever you're going to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's another discussion. That's another discussion for another podcast. Like, why are we doing, sorry, I was going to go on a tangent. Why are we doing this? We're limiting people from making money. I look at a triathlete's race jersey and there are 8 different sponsors and they all have the same size logo, but there's 4 on one side and 4 on the other side. And every one of those companies is paying them. Like, that's why they're making it able to make a lot of money. Like, at some point we're going to get to that. Like, there will be standards of like,
you're like
you
a
can
billboard.
have X number of additional sponsors beyond your primary, as long as the logo size is this and whatever. Like, I don't understand
why. Don't you
why.
want what's best for your athlete? Like, don't you want your athlete to be able to like have the best training and be supported more than what you can give them as an athlete manager or with your budget? I just am like,
well, there's two sides. There's two sides to it. That brand wants all the visibility and they want to be obviously the primary sponsor brand and very obviously the brand that is shown on that person. So that's what they want. And if they can have every
straight out of the Nike 101 playbook. Look at the Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean, UTMB went to the Olympics throughout the whole licensing for media, right?
Yeah, but UTMB is not the Olympics. They're taking
No,
a note out of the Olympics playbook, but they are not the Olympics.
You can't say UTMB in a post. Like, come on.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. What else? What else we got?
So we have got Caitlin Fielder also moving on from Solomon. She had a solid year, really solid year.
Yeah.
She's doing Terraware. Yeah. Terraware is the golden ticket race, right?
She's going for a golden ticket? I didn't know that. Oh, I wonder if she's going to Adidas because I know a bunch of Adidas athletes are going to Terraware. That's like one of their main, you know how they commit to certain races?
Yeah, it was ours like 2 years ago for On.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know, but the best post of all was Mike McMonagle announcing he's continuing to be sponsored by Leah for emotional financial support for the next 10 years. It was awesome. Good. It was just a nice, like, jovial break in the midst of all of the other, like,
I know, right? It's like comedic relief.
When I was looking at it, and I thought it was Leah saying something about continuing another year, and I was like, 10 years? She hasn't been with Lululemon for 10 years. And then I was like, wait, this is Mike. And I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. This is so brilliant. It was great. I loved it. Okay.
On Lululemon, I'm very curious about if they're going to continue to invest in trail.
I'm curious too.
I know, there's like many. Anyway, it's up in the air, and I think it's just interesting to see if it was kind of like a one and done. We're going to do further, or we're going to move on. And I'm just interested if they double down and go all in with their footwear and that sort of thing. So I think that's going to be a storyline.
Yeah. Agreed.
Have they closed the page on any of the research yet further? Like, I feel like that's another opportunity to engage their athletes.
Right.
Is like, hey, we did all this stuff. Like, what's the next thing? And
or like 1 year follow up. Like,
well,
that's a huge thing in research. Like, it's like, I mean, okay, you did the intervention or you did the testing or you got the data, but then like, okay, that's great. You ran for 6 days. What are you doing a year later? Can you walk? Like, do you still like running? Like, stuff like that.
Definitely. All right. So real quick, run through some of these, just how many athletes are on these teams, Russell. You pulled this.
Okay. So, I mentioned a couple of these, but I think it's really interesting, and Freetrail does a great job of like being able to like see all this and look for athletes. You can look up athletes. You can find all of their social media stuff. If they're on Strava, you got links there, but you can break it up per team. And what I thought was really interesting was trying to see how many athletes were on some of these different teams. And I was really surprised by some of the numbers. And I figured Hoka sponsored a lot of athletes, but they had 49 athletes listed on there and a lot of US in there. Solomon, we talked about 46 athletes that are listed on there. A lot are international there. Adidas, Terex, and North Face both have over 30 athletes listed there. Brooks was higher than I thought, 29 athletes. Nike Trail, this surprised me. So they're less than half of all of those. They only have 17 listed on their Nike Trail team, quote unquote. On has 22. And then there's some other ones that the other ones that were big was like Aravaipa has a big team.
Yeah, we
I
do.
think, yeah. And the Aravaipa athletes are allowed to have other sponsors. I mean, Liz Canty was an Aravaipa athlete and a Speedland athlete. You know, that is a common thing. Among that. So I do think it's a good kind of entry point there. But it is interesting, and it leads me to this question that I want you guys to answer: is that, you know, being a part of these, do you feel like fans should think of these brands as teams? And do they operate as teams? Or what ways do they operate as teams? And, you know, as a fan of the sport, should we be thinking along those
I can comment. I think it's a missed opportunity, hands down. I think that Adidas Terex does the best job at this, that we know who's on the Adidas Terex team. They all go to all the races. They pick certain, or not all the races. They have certain races that they all kind of come to, and they have a house and they support them. They support their pacers that are going to be pacing the athlete. If their pacer is not Adidas Terex and is not a professional athlete somewhere else, they will kit them out in Adidas so that it looks like they are, so that everything looks Adidas focused. You are an Adidas athlete through and through. And I think it's very cool to root for it. And I feel like as an Adidas athlete, you know what everybody's running, you know how can I help you? How can I pace you? And I don't think that's happening in all of the teams. I think it's not happening in any of them.
3, Adidas Terex brought all of their athletes, including Tom Evans, to Black Canyon. And that was the story of that race, was that it was Tom, and then there was another Adidas athlete that got a golden ticket that I can't even remember his name now. And wasn't Kowalczyk? Yes. Yes. And that whole race, like, they hung out, they were there cheering the 60K runners the next day. It was like Tom Evans was out on mile 4 cheering me on as I went by on the 60K. Like, how cool is that? Like, you know, you don't see LeBron cheering the next day at a random pickup basketball game. So, I mean, you're right. Adidas did a great job there.
I know LeBron just got his kid on his team. He's like, nah, I don't need to go there. Little Bronny can come on to the Lakers. So he
Fair.
went up to Adidas.
I think that Aravaipa has 41 athletes actually instead of 33.
Wow.
41 athletes.
I was going to
Old
say, though,
data.
it's about like priority, right? Like where clearly Adidas is putting money towards their team and investing in that versus more athletes. I mean, they already have 32 athletes, right? But maybe they don't have 49 athletes comparatively. You know, I'm just trying to think like clearly it's a strategic investment and where you put your money matters. And yeah, I think it's something that could be done better in most other brands.
Ellie, do you feel like you're on a team with the coffee club and the On Athletic Club guys in Boulder?
Not necessarily them, but I definitely feel like with the American athletes, like on the Freetrail fantasy, like we do, like every time On wants to send us somewhere, we always go. But it's less, it's not really usually, besides UTMB, it's like not a race. It's usually like an offsite. And then I didn't go this past year, but I had gone the 2 previous years to UTMB. And that is like, we all get together, but we definitely a separate entity to the OAC. We only get together with them like once a year. So but I definitely do feel like the American, and we are getting better. Like with the European athletes, it's just sometimes like the way we Americans joke with each other, it doesn't land with the European athletes. So we kind of have to be like, oh, what she said wasn't actually like a crude remark. She means this. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like I definitely feel like there is like a pretty big team element, but we just, didn't all go to Black Canyon in 2023, I guess.
You got to pick a golden trail. I mean, they've got a big
The
trail
one thing is that the women, 2 people, those people that keep winning the Golden Trail, they are definitely doing their own thing. Like they are not like they're a whole separate thing. So, and that might also be like cultural language stuff like that. But yeah, so we don't do too much with them, but because there's also like On has a lot of initiatives like in Ethiopia and other stuff that I think they came out of. And so we're just not super involved with that. But yeah, no, I definitely feel like I'm on a team. That's why I decided to sign with On and not the North Face or Speedland.
Ooh.
All right. Super quick, round the horn. We're going to do our
Wait, can I just say, Corinne, one last thing? I think it's going to change this year. I think it's a known entity that's a need and an opportunity. And I think my prediction for 2025 is that we're going to have more of that team element. And I think people are going to lean into it. Coming out of COVID era, I think people want to be together. I think there's going to be more retreats. And just like, I think brands will realize that they need to use those athletes and actually market them. And I think that 2025 is going to be the year.
Okay. That's a good prediction. I think too that it's one thing to market and to show up as a team at a race for visibility of the brand. And it's another to do things as a team that maybe people don't see, that are either team calls or things that are not necessarily like for brand exposure, but that could also, like you're saying, Ellie, like make you feel like you're part of a team. So, but yes, 100%. I'm a culture person. I'm all for building the community aspect of this. And I think it totally makes sense. And I think it's really cool when I see things like Ultra with, JP Giblin and other Ultra athletes pacing Tara, like you should support your teammates. And so I think that's awesome. Let's keep doing that. Okay. So real quick, and then we have a couple last hard hitting questions. I'm going around the horn, stock moving up or stock moving down or staying flat for these brands. Okay. The first brand is North Face. Ellie.
Down.
Katie.
Down.
Flat.
Russ. Flat.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go flat as well. Okay, Adidas, up, down, or flat? Ellie.
Flat.
Katie.
Or well, it depends on one thing. So yeah, I'll just say flag.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to go up. I think they're just going to stay where they're at. Like, I think flat.
I think up, and I think that their shoe kind of being talked about so much this year with David is kind of a little
but then they didn't get him on the team, Russell.
They didn't get him on the team.
And Tom left because of the shoe. That's what I heard.
Because of the shoe. My toenails left because of the shoe, but that's a different story. All right, I'm not going to comment. I think
Corinne, toenails left the chat.
Yeah, right. They could probably argue any of them. Okay, Hoka, Ellie.
I mean, I still think they're on the rise.
So up?
Yeah.
I'm an up.
Yep.
Katie's gone up.
Picked up Rod mid-cycle, like snapped that up. I think that was a big one. So I'm up on Hoka.
Yes, I agree. Deckers owns Hoka, and they are seemingly investing a lot in showing up pretty big. So I'm going to say up.
And I'm going to caveat that I think it's specific to trail right now, at least from the moves that have been made.
Yeah,
they're like going big.
For road, they're like restructuring.
Yeah.
This is trail. This is all trail.
Yeah.
Okay, Brooks for trail. Ellie.
Flat.
I'm saying up too. I saw a ton of Brooks at the Golden Trail. Golden Trail was like a lot of athletes. Used to just be like only Solomon, maybe a few others. Now I think part of the Golden Trail, like being successful, is they are represented across all brands. Brooks was up there quite a bit with a lot of athletes.
I will say the team aspect at Mammoth Trail Fest was really cool to see. There was a ton of Brooks athletes at Mammoth Trail Fest. Interesting.
I think they're flat. I don't know what the hell. I mean, sorry, I don't know what shoe, like the shoe, and they do have a lot of athletes, but I'm like, I have no interest in trying a Brooks shoe. Sorry, Brooks. Okay.
Super interesting. Yeah, to tie it not just with like our overall opinion about the energy of the brand, but actually what shoes are they bringing out? Yeah. And innovation.
Yeah. Okay, Nike, Ellie. Nike Trail.
Yeah, I know. It depends on if I'm just going to say flat. I still just don't think they're invested. But they have money, so they'll be just like...
I think they even need another year. I think because of the change with the CEO, I think there's just going to be a year of trying to figure it all out and what their next step is. And I think that Nike Trail wants to be all in, but I think it's going to we're not going to see it for another year. That's my thought.
Russ?
I keep thinking that. I keep thinking every year it's the next year that they're going to just really explode and just be on the scene so big. But I just see them flat right now, even though I'm a huge Nike product guy.
Yeah.
I was just looking at who's on their team still. Addie Bracy, Anthony Costales, Bailey Kowalczyk, Rachel, Christian Allen,
Tyler
Drew
Green.
Coleman,
I mean, they have a legit team. I don't know. I kind of want to change mine up. I'm going up. I'm going up with Nike.
Ninke
Changing it.
Brinkman.
All the players on it.
To her. Oh my gosh. Okay, don't tell me. I'll just do a rabbit hole later.
I don't know what happened to her either.
Yeah.
She hurt. Anyways, okay.
I don't
So-
know, but all right. Put
No,
that,
I
write
think
that
haven't
down.
seen athletes. I'm going up. Nike Trail's going up.
No, I'm just saying flat. Like,
I'm
I just
saying
don't
flat,
I
too.
think they have like a limited attention span, a limited budget, and it's staying.
Yeah, I'm going to say flat as well. Solomon, Ellie,
Flat. They've been flat for a while for me.
Katie.
I think down except for Courtney.
But
I mean,
she's the player. So
She's right, but then they've lost so many athletes this year that for me, when we talk about like investment in your community, that to me is the down. But you're investing a lot in Courtney, which is rad. I love that they're giving money to the biggest name in our sport. And Courtney, in my opinion, deserves every penny. And you got to support the rest of the team if you want. I mean, I don't know. If we're just thinking from a team perspective, it's a down.
Russ?
Yeah, for me, just for Courtney up, because I don't think they're doing any of their special shoes and different shorts, and they're letting her personality come out, which is really cool. And they don't do that for a lot of athletes. It's like Killian and Courtney. Who else gets to show their personality on Solomon?
Yeah. I'm going to refrain from commenting since I wear their shoes and like their shoes. But I will say that I think that they need to make us a plated trail shoe. And I don't know if that's happening. And that to me is a big miss. Okay, on. Ellie doesn't have to comment. Katie?
till they tell me who my new teammates are, I'm saying flat.
Flat. You're saying
How
flat.
do
I'm
you
saying
feel about
flat.
that? So let me ask you that. How do you feel about that? Like, would you want to know, like, as soon as somebody signed, like, would you want to know we've signed this person?
Tell us like a week before they announce. It's like not the thing is like we are like we're friends. So like of course we trust David to like bring us more people that we will get along with. But we always want to know, like, I mean, because there's definitely some athletes in our sport where you're like, they only care about themselves. They are an individual. And so like, even if they join the team, it doesn't really matter. Like, because like
Doesn't
right
move the
now,
needle.
like the Jeffs, like Sam, Genevieve, Alyssa, like we're all like friends. And so we just want to know who's going to be our new friend.
I feel like you deserve that. I feel like when, like, once it's signed and done, like, you need to tell the team. They're not going to announce it publicly.
I don't know. Some people like me go on podcasts and say stuff.
Yeah.
You haven't said anything.
No,
Russ.
I mean,
Probably
they'll
know
tell us
they're betting
eventually,
for
but
just
I don't know. It's whatever.
All right. And Saucony's the last one on this list.
I mean, I guess I have to go down. Like, both Adam and I are out, and it's just Grayson again. But Grayson,
She resigned.
well, she's not in a contract year, but she is a hybrid athlete for sure, world champion. I really hope they keep her on if she wants to stay on. But yeah, so I guess down. I hate to say
I mean,
that.
she's also somebody that like can get a non-endemic sponsorship.
She's such a hustler, man. I love that girl.
I know, so good.
Okay, that was fun. We got to
Should we
wrap
say
it up.
Lululemon? I feel like that's one we should say.
Okay,
Ooh.
Lululemon.
I'm going to say Lululemon down right now until I hear what else they're going to do. I mean, I love their athletes that they've kept. They moved quickly on Camille after that news, and I don't know if that probably was a good move. I haven't heard a ton after that, but I'm going to say, yeah, I'm excited to see what they have next. I want to see something come out from after further.
Dude, does Camille re-sign with somebody else? Not re-sign. Does Camille sign with somebody else?
No. I think Lululemon and Trail probably down, but I think that they did this little experiment and now they know like we should invest in Colleen Quigley and Nikki Hiltz because that's more our brand. Or influencers like Myrna or something like that. Like and also I think they realized that like you really shouldn't like base your whole like shoe and clothing line a lot on one athlete, because what if that one athlete goes down in flames? So I mean, it did kind of happen, which I mean, like that is what it is. It happened. So I think in Trail, I think they're just gonna like, we tried. Hopefully the research gets published, because I would like to see all of that. But I don't know. I kind of think like, it's just like not all companies should make shoes and packs. Not all companies need to do everything.
Yeah.
I
How
agree with
about
that take.
Kraft?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. They've got some
Like
good.
Mary's on there. My
Like,
darling
Mary
Arlen
is
is
the-
back.
Yeah.
Like, we got this.
They're doing some good stuff.
Yeah.
How about La Sportiva?
And MK. Sorry.
Yeah, MK. Yep. La Sportiva.
Same.
No, I mean, nothing.
Asics.
What?
Asics has Ben Demon,
Wait,
Antonio
Asics?
Martinez Perez. Maud Mathis is an Asics. Sarah Alonso is an Asics.
Sarah Alonso, yeah.
Okay. I think of them as like old school, like Ryan Hall when he was marathoning like 20
But no,
years
I
ago.
wore him in high school. It's crazy.
Yeah,
shape.
like
Now it's
Tina
Clayton Young.
Castor.
Clayton Young is Mr. Asics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Trail, I have no clue. Oh, they're on the up and up.
How about Ultra? That's an interesting one to pontificate, and it leads into our next question.
Up, actually. I think they're gonna well, the thing is, up with like recognition, but I hear their shoes just keep getting shittier and shittier. So I even hear that from their athletes. So like up, but like kind of up.
Yeah,
you
but
have
like
to go up just the same reason we said with Courtney, right? It's like it's all on Tara now.
Yeah.
I feel like she's gonna lead that brand, and they're purposefully investing in her to do so. I mean, that's rad. I love that.
And also, like, they should put more, I think, more of their money into trail, because like unfortunately, like, nobody's who's running fast is running an ultra on the road. Like, it's just not a good, like, you need a pointed shoe for toe off. So it's like they kind of have more like to be invested in trail. I think it's a lot better, like it's a better use of their money just based on the foot shape. So I'd say up. Yeah, I haven't ran them, so I don't know.
Yeah, for how much your boy Scott Jurek tries to make it seem like you'll have an Achilles injury if you put them on, Tara Dower just finished the AT in ultras and in a record FKT. So that in and of itself is a pretty good endorsement.
And her foot is all of our feet, everybody.
Man, leave it to Ellie. Okay. All right. That was our fun segment called Up or Down or Flat Stocks. Okay. We have like 2 questions to end on. It's gone long. Thanks for hanging with us. Do you guys want to plug anything before we leave our sponsors, Freetrail and the Shalvoy household and the
my plug is that I want a Freetrail team. Debo, do it. Harmo.
Let's go.
RT, let's go. Come on.
That'd be so fun. And then we can all have a house at Gorge.
That's really all I want, is just to all hang out with Freetrailers and
just retreat. Yeah.
Just retreat and then just have it be on Freetrail's dime. That'd
we
be
want them to pay for it. Let's be real.
But we're the one paying for it. Yeah, exactly. Can we pay to be on your team?
Oh my God, you guys, we need to do a Freetrail fam times Trail Society. Can you imagine all 6 of us? Just
Okay, now let's close on this question, because Ellie, you brought up a good point. So a lot of these stories that we've talked about right now, the big deal with Tara Dower, Courtney's contract extension, Lululemon cutting ties with Camille, Hoka and Courtney Olsen. A lot of these stories are on women. Is there significance there? I kind of think there is. There's a lot of talk on that. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's all about the women. Always. I don't understand the question.
It's all about the women. Women
We're
are on
here
their
for the women's race, Russell. That's the whole.
We're here for the women's race, and women can.
That's right. Perfect. Moving on. Just kidding.
All right.
Just kidding.
Do brands care more about trying to hit a big news story that goes outside of our little sphere of community and sport, or consistent results and presence within the community? Who has thoughts on that?
I mean, I guess my thought is that of course they want the big news story, right? Like, but you need Tara Dower to do that. You need like you need Jasmine Paris to do that. You need something that's so historic. David Roach, right? Something that breaks records that have been set for, decades, whatever, or never been done. And I just think, I think every athlete, every brand is going to want that.
But the ones
I
that
think you don't get that unless you invest in your athletes. Like, it's kind of like, yeah.
But also kind of didn't invest in Tara, and then she just did that. I mean, they had her signed, but they didn't follow that attempt necessarily. But then they took advantage of the result of it, and so they jumped on it after it became huge. Adidas did not jump on, David breaking through. So what does that mean? And Jasmine Paris doesn't want sponsors, so she's just kind of like I'm doing this just because this is what I'm doing. And I don't know that David necessarily does either, but at the same time, like, yeah, so we have kind of two examples of like brands really seizing that opportunity and saying that is worth us doing this, and, you know, and brands not, which makes me think that maybe Ultra is focused on appealing to the masses, and maybe the Adidas.
I think it was just a lost opportunity with Adidas. That's what I think. I think that Ultra did exactly what they should have done. It's one of their athletes already. Of course, we're going to make this massive. It already was massive, and we're going to blow her up even more. But in David's case, in my opinion, I think it was a lost opportunity for Adidas. I think it would have been a massive boost for Adidas, and they didn't take the opportunity. Maybe it's because it wasn't already their athlete. But I mean, like, that's what Lululemon was going for with Further, was something out of trail, right? Like they're trying to break through that bubble. Yeah. So that's my comment, is that that's what they all want. They all want it to be bigger than just trail.
I think that
they want to sell their product.
Right.
And so I think, Corinne, you kind of asking, like, would it be better for, like, would it be better to, like, break into something like the New York Times, or have somebody that, you know, maybe isn't as, like, doesn't have a result that is New York Times worthy, but, you know, they're very, like, more approachable and a lot more known in the community of runners,
right. Like,
which
you
I
win
think
Western
actually is a
States.
valid question, because it's like, when I'm reading the New York Times, I am reading like an opinion piece or a story about Jasmine Paris, who just finished Barkley. Nowhere in that do I give a shit what is on her feet. I'm just like, holy crap, this like lady is like nursing her baby and then goes and runs this race. So that's not going to get whatever Jasmine is, that's not going to get any eyes on that brand. However, if they invest money in like somebody else who's more like going to go to the, all the different local races or whatever, that's your money. You're getting it from like people that are already running. You're not getting it from like a huge New York Times story.
Like, who's your demographic?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's both. Like, I mean, because like Courtney's been, I guess it depends. Like, 'cause she's winning, but her story's also, you know, yeah.
Or
so
she goes on Joe Rogan, or, you know,
yeah,
stuff like
for
that.
instance.
Yeah. What a women forward podcast.
Awesome. Any final comments? That's all we've got. There's a lot of stuff moving around. I'm sure that we'll try to put this out like tomorrow if we can, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of things announced soon that maybe this is old news, but right now it's
cool.
pretty.
Thanks for letting me come on. I don't think I said anything too bad.
I know. I'm hoping I didn't either.
No, you were good.
It was.
We didn't drop any
big
news, right? I think we did good. Held our secrets. All right.
Super exciting.
Having us on. That was super fun.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Yay. See you guys later. Happy 2025. Goodbye.
Bye.